Good morning everyone, welcome back to a really happy Nats Knackers yard, and I'll tell you why after this. Okay, so why are you so happy, Nat? Well, I'm happy because the site has hit 1,000 subscribers. Now, I'm still struggling to come to terms with that myself. The site has hit 1,000 subs. Wow! Thank you for subscribing. I hope you're enjoying the content. And you know, I legitimately mean that. You know, bigger sites, all the huge sites with hundreds of thousands or millions of subscribers and all of that, you know, they say that sort of stuff and it comes across as a bit plastic, as a bit fake. But no, I am genuinely grateful for your subscription and for you joining me on my little journey of fucking around with bikes. So I love the sound of my own voice, and I'm very, very rarely speechless, but I'm kind of lost for words. It's the coolest thing that's happened for quite a while. Yeah, so I mean, looking back, so our site channel's been going, what, 2 and a bit years, I think, is roughly when I started, sort of February-ish, something like that. So yeah, only just over 2 years old. And you know, why did you start in that? Well, you know, what origin stories? Yes, we're all about Marvel. Everyone loves origin stories. I started it for shits and giggles, and I still do it for shits and giggles. And it kind of all goes back to the motorcycle rescuer, frankly, who himself was you know, quite considerably sub 1,000 viewers at that point. Now, I'm a return to biking biker, the same as I think a lot of people are, frankly. You know, I had little bikes, had a 125 when I was a youngster, tried to kill myself several times, never touched one since. Got back to it justified by having this commute, actually, which is a bitch in a car, frankly. It's not that much better on a bike. Got a bike, got an old Diversion, got something deliberately, I don't want to say low maintenance, but deliberately easy maintenance. I mean, Diversion 900s are amazing machines, but they're shaft drives, they are bulletproof, they're distinctly unglamorous, but they're great bikes. And I got that to commute in, yes, but I got it partially to tear it apart and put it back together again. You know, I wanted to know how it worked. Now, cars confuse the tits off me because you know, it's so much of it is now computerized that there's nothing, there's very little that you can do in terms of home maintenance, whereas bikes are different. Now, modern bikes are just as computerized, etc. So I kind of went for something old and you know, and that'll do. And it was running a bit boggy, and I was pissing around on the internet looking for, you know, what might be wrong, and you know, and I've said this many times, I have no mechanical training at all. You know, I'm not daft, I can understand the basics of combustion, but you know, I'm not a mechanic, I'm not an electrician, but you know, the basic principles are simple. He says, really tempting fate. The basic principles are simple. It's all the other stuff that makes it more complicated. Excuse me. So I thought I'd give it a go, and it came to the opinion on the Diversion that, you know, it's probably just the carbs that needed cleaning. How do you do that? Looked it up, pissed around on Facebook, yada yada yada. Found one of Charlie's videos actually on carb cleaning. Thought, oh, that was good, and looked at, you know, just about to make a comment, you know, thanks buddy, this is really useful. Saw a comment on there, you know, from somebody else saying, oh, does anyone can do you know anyone that can ultrasonic clean carbs in the area? Another guy that was, you know, vaguely in the sort of in the Islington area that Charlie's in. Charlie invited him along and said, no, you probably don't need that, you probably just do it by hand, to be honest, mate. You know, come on down, I'll show you. And that's where you know, that's Charlie, the motorcycle rescuer in Awana. You know, he wants to pass on his knowledge. You know, and again, he's not trained, but he's been doing this sort of stuff for a suitably long time. That bus is going to really annoy everyone laying across, but hey. But you know, he'll pass on what he's learned to others gladly. So Matt up there felt a bit strange, but you know, Matt up there formed a good friendship with Charlie, and we're still good mates now. At which point I did that and thought, this is really good fun. I miss doing stuff with my hands. My work is office based. You know, it's all very ethereal. It's all very electronic. I don't create anything or fix anything. And I didn't quite realise how much I was sort of missing that element of my life. Kids were getting a little bit older, all the normal spiel really. You know, it's basically the description of a midlife crisis. So yeah, I chatted with Charlie. You know, I'll give this a go. I'll get a cheap bike and pull it apart and put it back together and see if I can make it work. Charlie said, "Why don't you film it?" I was like, "Well, okay, really thought about that, but yeah, not a problem." So I filmed it. Added to it was the fact that Charlie even picked the bloody thing up for me. I found a GPZ 500 for, I think, for 300 quid. It was ridiculously low cost. It was being sold by a garage who I think had taken it to part exchange. They quite obviously had a quick go at it, but not really got anywhere. Looked at the bike, looked at the age of the bike. I mean, it was an E-plate, I think. And then basically sold it off. I think it might have been 350. No, it wasn't actually. It was 270 quid is what I ended up offering for it and paying it, I think. Anyway, all good in the hood. I was discussing with Charlie, who doesn't own a van. You know, how do you move your bikes around, mate? He said, "Oh, there's an app called Zipcar, which is, you know, car hire basically, but by the hour. That at the time was £10 an hour. Basically, as long as you had a full clean license or over 25, not a problem." And as we were discussing it, Charlie said, "You know what? I'll pick it up for you if you like, mate." So he picked it up, paid for it, picked it up, and then dropped it off to me, and I obviously paid it back. So yeah, and then started filming, and actually I've been, you know, out of slight nostalgia, looking back at some of my original uploads, and you know, they were super amateurish, but you know, that's what I was trying to do, and I was picking up, you know, subscribers in 1s and 2s, so it's fine. That's exactly what I was trying to do. Did the GPZ and really loved it. It was a great project, and sold it on, and I sold it on, you know, for too little. But I didn't want, you know, I wasn't, you know, it was about getting the bike back up and running again and getting somebody using it and loving it. And you know, I sold it way under market value, but I didn't need to sell it for any more. I just needed, you know, my costs covered, plus a bit for a next set of tools and the next bike type thing. That's entirely all I was originally after, and frankly, it's all I want now. I just want, you know, money back, plus a little bit for, you know, the next set of tools, and that's exactly what this channel is all about. It is a self-sustaining hobby. Ideally, and it's a self-sustaining hobby to keep bikes on the road and to keep them being used and loved, because they routinely get neglected, and if you neglect a bike, it will punish you more so than if you neglect a car. I would happily argue, you know, cars don't complain about being left out in the rain for long periods of time. It's kind of what they're designed to do. Bikes less so. So yeah, and a channel was born. And again, with Charlie, we've done a few crossovers and swap overs. I've bought an old Eliminator off him, got that one going. I've given up on a bike and given that to him, and he's sorted it. You know, it's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's and there is a lot of emphasis nowadays on mental health, and I don't want to start tugging at that string, because I think it gets overused. You know, this isn't about my mental health. I just found something I enjoy doing. That's not mental health. that's just being a grown-up. And I found something that I love. I found something that I hate at times, that I find incredibly frustrating at times. I've nearly jacked it in, not jacked in the channel, because it's not about the channel, it's about the bikes, but I have kind of hit a couple of times where it's just gone, oh fuck it, I'm going to get this one done and that's it, and I'll find something else to waste my time on, which would then mean the end of the channel ultimately. But it's temporary frustrations, and if you fight through these things, it just does playing the mental health card, it does give you some mental resilience, because life doesn't always go your way. The channel's just trogged through. I've never set myself a target of, right, I want to do a video here and a video here. I've never set myself a, right, okay, I could either do one 20-minute upload, or I could split it into two and do two 10-minute uploads. My brain doesn't really work that way. I will do some shit on a bike, and I'll film it, is my general process. And then when I'm editing, which is normally, there's no professional stuff here, this is all done on a phone and on an app. When I'm editing it, I'll throw it together, zoom through or skip the bits that I think are boring, let alone other people might find boring, skip the bits that I'm going to be interesting to watch, or and quite often I'll verbalise it when I'm doing it, and I'll bring you back in once I've done this. I kind of treat the camera as somebody else in the room, and then we jump in and out, and what you get is what you get. Sometimes it's a 10-minute upload, sometimes it's a 20-minute. I don't like going more than that, because, and again, it's all about me, I'm not a big fan of sort of 25-minute plus videos, because I've got to kind of make time to watch those. A 10-minute video or a 20-minute video I can watch while I'm having a dump. It's kind of that basis. I'm not trying to aim at X a week or get out. So some weeks there'll be a lot, because I've had the opportunity to, or I'm doing something that's captured my imagination, so I make time to do it. Sometimes there's less. So what's happening and what's changing then? What's your intention with the channel? I'm going to carry on doing much the same. If that gets boring for people, I apologise. But this is my hobby. This is what I do as my hobby. The one bit that might change is my eldest is currently 14. He wants to go on a skiing trip with his school next year, so when he's 50, of which, sod being that teacher that takes 15-year-olds skiing, but hey, he wants to do that. Now, that ain't cheap by any stretch of the imagination, and really want him to do it. It'll be a great life experience for him. Did something similar when I was similar age, as I think my wife did as well, obviously not together, but so yeah, really want him to do it. But I want him to earn it a little bit, so I think the next project that I get, the next bike that I bring in, and I've discussed this with him and he's up for it, is going to be a bit of a joint venture. So we'll work on it together, both get our hands dirty, or at least I'll have a cameraman or a camera boy, and any profits from the bike he can have, and it'll go into his funds for his ski trip. And I think that's a fair agreement. Right, that'll do me. 1,000 subscribers, who would have thought? Thanks very much all, hope you're enjoying it. More pissing around with bikes, less talking bollocks on the top of a bike, I promise. Cheers all, ta-da.